Is the tank back on? You're listening to the Locked On at Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DeStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morissudi. What's happening, Dave? You an away game for you today?
Yeah. I'm long story short, I had to find a way to make it work in a small office space that has really shoddy Wi-Fi and I don't even want to take the virtual background off because it's so yellow. It might be the most unpleasant aesthetics you could have in an office setting.
There it is. Well, hey, man, glad we were able to make it work. It's a big game tonight, obviously, with the Leafs heading down to Anaheim. Everyone's looking forward to that one. Will or won't Radko Gudas be in the lineup? That's the question we're all wondering. We'll get to that in a little bit, but let's quickly put a bow on Saturday night's festivities, which I think a lot of Leafs fans pleased with the poor effort that the Maple Leafs put out there. They lose 5-1 to the St. Louis Blues and, get themselves one step closer to that bottom five and are now within 2 points of the bottom five. Like with that loss to St. Louis, Dave, it's a tank back on.
It tanks back on, but it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be a tough road, but we're not giving up on the tank dream just yet now.
I don't know. I think that it seems like a bunch of these teams should continue to win games. Like Winnipeg keeps winning games. San Jose keeps winning games. Like at this point, it's now Florida holds the 5th pick. So St. Louis bumps ahead of Florida there. But Toronto and Florida, like if they can get below the Panthers, then I think they're in a really good spot when it comes to tanking here. The thing too is, a lot of these teams below them own the tiebreaker in terms of regulation wins as well. Only the Sharks, of the teams that are currently battling to get into the bottom five, only the Sharks have a worse regulation wins record than the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's still somewhat of a positive. But man, that was quite the putrid effort that the Maple Leafs put forward for the Blues. And the sad part is, usually you can at least pick out, there've been a lot of bad games recently for Toronto on this tank season, but usually you can pick out at least a player or two, or you can pick out a period or a stretch of hockey that you can point to and be like, well, at least they gave us this. Well, at least this guy was on one tonight. I can't really think of anyone who, if we go through the good, the bad, the ugly, I can't think of really anybody who played well in that game against the Blues. Top to bottom, all 18 skaters. The goalie didn't do a whole lot. Special teams was brutal. This may have been one of the worst games that the Maple Leafs played all season. I mean, they had 4 shots in the first, 4 shots in the second, a whopping 5 shots in the third period. We didn't even get that fake third period comeback either. Just a brutal game. Brutal game.
Yeah, no, you went up against actually one of the harder teams in the league.
They are, which is great for Team Tank also, because they're only a couple points out of a playoff spot. That's how insanely different the East and West is. The West, you got the Blues and the Jets, only a few points out of a playoff spot. Meanwhile, Toronto, long gone, not even in the conversation.
It's crazy. They are so far out of the conversation, and any thought of maybe going up? I was looking at this and I think the best they could potentially do in that situation is 12th, the 12, in that 12 range, which first off doesn't guarantee really much for you. You look at the only team that worries me in terms of the bottom 5 push for the bottom 5 is Florida, because they have looked absolutely putrid. But the Leafs play one more game against Florida. It would be the most must-lose game in all must-lose games.
Yeah. Well, St. Louis was that, right? The loss to the Blues was that in Toronto. They showed up ready to play. If you're on Team Tank, that's how you get it done. You play horrible, and that's exactly what ended up happening. And they lost. And St. Louis picks up 2 points in reg. They get to within 2 points of Toronto. How about Justin Holl getting a little revenge goal? I forgot Justin Holl was in St. Louis, first of all, until the game started. I'm like, oh, yeah, traded to St. Louis in the Justin Falk deal. So I saw the stat, too. Kristen Shilton of ESPN tweeted it out. He said Justin Holl has just 2 NHL goals since leaving Toronto a few years ago. Both have been against the Maple Leafs. So this guy turns into friggin' Bobby Orr whenever he plays the Maple Leafs, apparently.
Yeah, just showing everybody what we're really missing out on, clearly. But it's crazy. It's like, the tank is back on when Justin Holl beats you.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's just not a good – it was not a good situation Saturday night that they were severely outplayed, outshot, outclassed. They gave up a shorty. They gave up a power play goal. They had 3 power plays, including a 4-minute power play in that game. 0 shots on goal. Like, how do you get 4 minutes, a double minor, and you don't muster up a single shot on goal? Like, quite literally, the St. Louis Blues had more goals than the Leafs had shots, while the Leafs were on the power play. That is just a whole another level of bad. So, definitely a game. And what's disappointing about it is, you thought maybe it was one where Toronto can at least be competitive. Like, I understand the Blues are playing great hockey. Like, they had the best record of all NHL teams in the month of March. So it's a good team. I wasn't expecting them to win. But at least, that's your coach's old stomping grounds where he got fired. Like, that's the starting goaltender's stomping grounds. It's where he grew up. He had friends and family in the building. Could have at least showed up to play for those guys with a little bit of pride. Didn't seem to be a whole lot of that pride in there. And that is what was disappointing, I think, mostly. It's good that they lost. I think a lot of us want them to continue to lose games. But to not even show up in the manner they did, knowing how much that game meant to the coach and to the starting goaltender, who they gave up 38 shots. You know what the shot discrepancy is in Joseph Woll's last 3 games, by the way?
I'm going to venture not very good for the Leafs.
They've given up 125 shots, and they've only mustered up 45 of their own. That's an 80-shot differential in the last 3 starts for Joseph Woll. That's how brutal the Maple Leafs have played in front of that guy, and how poorly, again, they played in St. Louis. Let's see if they can either replicate that type of push tonight against Anaheim, or are we in for a decent little tilt tonight? Because there could be a little bit more skin in the game for the Leafs in this one, with Toronto going to Anaheim and Radko Gudas possibly roaming around on the ice. Will there be a proper response out of the gate? We'll get to that chat next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports are traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download Robinhood now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Welcome back into the Locked On at Leafs podcast. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morissudi with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the podcast. You can find them wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube as well. All right, Dave, big game tonight. Big spotlight game. I bet you a lot of the hockey world will be focused in on it. It's a late night one, right? They're on the West Coast. They're in Anaheim, so you're looking at a 10 o'clock start tonight. So you're gonna have to stay up for this one. I think it might be worth it. There's a lot of West Coast games this year that have not been worth the watch. Do you think that this one is worth it, given the history between these two teams and recent history between these two teams?
Well, and I just saw a note here. There's going to be a little more eyes on the game in the building. Mm-hmm. Department of Safety head George Parros will be in attendance.
No way.
When the Leafs take on the Ducks.
Okay, so I'm guessing that means that they're expecting Radko Gudas to play tonight. Then I would imagine if he's going to be in attendance, they expect him to play tonight because he didn't play over the weekend, so he missed the game against Edmonton with an injury, and then it right away everyone's like, "Oh, is he going to play Monday against the Leafs?" Now, as of now, we have not heard anything about whether or not he's going to play. He was considered day to day. He was asked. He said he wanted to play in that game against the Maple Leafs tonight. If he does, do you expect this one to get rowdy? What type of response do you want to see from the Maple Leafs tonight?
Yeah, if I'm Anaheim, you want this out of the way early. You put Gudas out there first shift. The Leafs put out
Pezzetta.
My
guess. Oh,
would be Dakota Joshua would probably be the guy.
Or Pezzetta, probably Pezzetta. Pezzetta's been the one who's been up here duking it out. One of those two. See if you can reestablish yourself, Dave. We kind of lost you a little bit. You're in and out, kind of. See if you can reestablish your connection. Okay. Yeah, you're kind of coming in and out for a sec, but yeah, I fully expect some sort of response here from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think Dave's right. First shift, get someone out there and just drop the mitts, get it done, right? That he has to answer the bell, and he did not do it against the Leafs. Granted, no one, really challenged him either, to be completely fair to Gudas, but he didn't have to answer to anything because he just skated off the ice without any discussion or fisticuffs. There has to be a response tonight, and I think the Leafs know it. And I think there will be a big response. And Joshua's one guy, but that's what you went out and got Michael Pezzetta for, realistically. And since he's come up, he's been engaged in a couple of altercations since he's come up to the NHL. So I would expect, first, right off the get-go, I think we see Pezzetta drop the mitts with Gudas. I think that's probably where it starts, and then he might have to go twice. I think we see if I set the over-under at 1.5 fights for Gudas tonight, I think I'm taking the over. I think there might be another guy like a Jake McCabe or someone who's going to want to get a lick, maybe even like a Matthew Nyes or a Morgan Rielly, who doesn't even care if he gets his face filled. But remember how embarrassed he was after that game, how he didn't do anything. I feel like a couple of guys will want to get their pound of flesh on Radko Gudas. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting him to spend a lot of time in the penalty box.
I would think, just hearing I know cutting out a bit here, but my thinking is there'll be a couple of, at least one or two. I think Morgan Rielly will probably want something. I do think this is going to be one of those close a chapter on this. End it the way, you didn't do it before. Get it over with, and it'll hopefully end this talking point going forward. Because if nothing happens, it just can't happen.
No, it's impossible. I think it's impossible. If nothing happens, literally, I'm quitting the show because there's no point in even covering this team because it's not a team. If nothing happens, no, it can't happen. And I get it. They're sending George Parros down, and maybe that's an intimidation factor for the NHL, who knows that it could get out of hand. And maybe sending him down here to talk to the teams could potentially, lessen the extent of what the Maple Leafs want to do here to get revenge for their captain. But ultimately, the Leafs have nothing to lose. They have absolutely nothing to lose tonight. So if they go out there and they start a fight every other shift, realistically, what's George Parros going to do? Suspend the whole team? Sure, whatever. We don't care. We're tanking anyway. But at least we got our pound of flesh. Right? I honestly think that the Maple Leafs just have to go out there, and I don't even know if it's message sending at this point, but it's just this is their one chance where they can play with a little bit of pride and right the wrong from a few weeks ago when no one did anything about the hit on Auston Matthews. And tonight you can go out there and do something about it, whether it's against Gudas or against another team member. Like if I'm Beckett Seneca, they went hard at him all game last time after Gudas went out. Like they were in his kitchen. I think they'll probably do the same again, make it hard on him. And that'll also entice Gudas to have to stick up and do something also, which the Maple Leafs will want to bait him into getting into some more fights and whatnot. So yeah, I'm expecting quite the fireworks tonight. I think that it's going to be a really intriguing game to watch.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the most
probably the best game to honestly. If I had to choose one game to watch the rest of the year, I think it's this one. I think it'd be Leafs Ducks, the rematch, the revenge match from the Auston Matthews hit. I think this is probably the one game of the year that will still have a lot of juice in it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. No, I do agree. It's the biggest stakes game in terms of your team's reputation. And, it gives you a do-over, a bit of a do-over from that, but probably left the bad taste in a lot of people's mouths in the organization. This is your chance to do it right.
Yeah, 100% agree. I'm assuming you gotta fly there, Dave. I think you got your appointment coming up quick. Yeah, so I checking the phone there. So we did want to just get a quick episode out there today for you guys. Make sure that we properly recap Saturday and gave this Ducks Leafs game the proper preview it deserves, because it might be the last time that both of us are jazzed up to talk about a Leafs pregame. So we figured we'd come out and get something done quickly for you guys. So appreciate it. Thanks, Dave, as always. But that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morissudi, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. We'll recap the melee that'll ensue tonight. Leafs Ducks, 10 p.m. start time. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.